Hey, Michael DeLeon, Recovery Army. We're on the road to recovery in Aurora, Illinois. And I got a chance today to sit down with an amazing girl, such a beautiful soul, Shelby Vidmar. You know, a national recovery specialist working so hard in mental health and addiction, advocate, not just an advocate, but a champion of recovery and of mental health. And she's helping other people as we're helping many people with this video on the road to recovery from Aurora, Illinois with Shelby Vidmar.
My name is Shelby Vidmar, and I am from Aurora, Illinois. I am a licensed recovery coach, and so I work with people in addiction and mental health. And I also work for an organization called NAMI, which is National Alliance on Mental Illness. It began for me drinking. I never really started drinking until I was 19. I had a pretty good grasp on it until I was 20 or 21. I knew that something was going on inside. I felt that I was having issues with possibly some mental health stuff, but I couldn't quite pinpoint exactly what was going on. So I ended up using alcohol as a coping mechanism to kind of figure out how to deal with my mental health. Kind of one thing led to another, and my drinking got out of control. I had several arrests. I dealt with some pretty bad falls. I was in the hospital quite a few times. And it just got to the point where things became unmanageable, and I needed to get my drinking under control. So that's when I checked into rehab for the first time. I was 26 years old. That was in 2012. I was also going through a divorce at the time. And it was, for me, it was kind of the first light of me knowing that that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. So I entered into rehab. I spent about 60 days in upstate Minnesota. The facility that I went to was strictly drugs and alcohol. And when I came out of that rehab, I moved home to be close to my family. And at that time, I realized that with the alcohol no longer in my system, that I was still dealing with things going on inside of me. I didn't quite know how to manage all of the racing thoughts that were going on in my head. I was having really high peaks throughout my days and my weeks. I was having amazing days, and then I was crashing and having really, really bad days. Things got to the point where I ended up relapsing, and life got so unmanageable that I actually had a suicide attempt. And I knew that I needed help. So I went to a crisis stabilization unit where I was able to get on some good medications to help. And that's actually when I was told that I had bipolar disorder. And that was kind of the aha moment at that time. For years and years and years, I think we ended up figuring out that it was 8 years that I had been suffering undiagnosed and not knowing what was wrong. But I knew that something was wrong. One of the key things too is that I had been prescribed antidepressants, anti-anxiety medications, but no one had told me you can't drink alcohol on any medications like that. So the last couple days that I was in that behavioral health center, a organization called NAMI came in, and it was a public speaker who came in and just talked to me about their struggles. And to me that was really beneficial, because at that time I looked at my counselor and I said, I want to do that one day. And that was really instrumental to me. Unfortunately, after 2.5 years of being sober, my mental health medication stopped working, and I didn't know at that time that that's something that can happen. And for me, I used alcohol again as an outlet to help with the way that I was feeling. So I started going out to bars. I was hiding alcohol, so no one knew. And it got to that point where I ended up drinking for about 5 months. And I finally went to my mom and I said, this is not the person I want to be again, and I want to get help again. So I flew to Malibu, California, where me and my mom found an amazing facility that was dual diagnosis, meaning it not only was mental health, but it was also rehab, or it was also to help get sober and to treat those symptoms also. So I went to a sober living facility in West Hollywood, where I stayed for 6 months, got a really solid foundation, went to meetings every day, got a sponsor, and started working the steps. It is my first time that I ever really completely gave myself over. It was also the time that I started going to meetings daily. After 6 months of being at the sober living, I was asked by the owners if I would like to be a house manager. And so I stayed in California and was a house manager for another 2 years. It was a great experience for me to be able to work with so many people that were, trying to get sober, staying sober, and it was just a great outlet for me to be able to work with people in sobriety. So just recently in December of 2017, I moved back to Chicago, and it's amazing because as soon as I moved back, so many doors have opened for me. I am again working with NAMI. I'm speaking in all of the schools, all of the high schools in DuPage County, except for I think 2 or 3. So I'm going into the health classes, and I'm talking in the sophomore health classes about mental health, substance abuse, bullying, cutting, and suicide awareness. And it's a really great time for me to be able to go in, and I get to share my story with so many of the kids, and they get to ask questions, and we get to tell them about the programs that NAMI has to offer. I am working on getting into the juvenile justice system, and it's really important for me to just explain to people a little bit more about what self-medicating is and how people don't need to self-medicate. And so let's try and get them help with their mental health before they use those outlets. There is hope. There's so much hope. And I'm not going to say that it's not easy, because it's really, really difficult, and it is hard to get through it, and it is hard to have the confidence in yourself. But I just want to tell you that it is possible, and with a little bit of hard work and with faith in yourself, you can get through it. And if you don't believe in yourself right then I believe in you, and I know that you can do it.
Shelby, I'm so grateful to have you in my life, and thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you for sharing your story with other people, and I hope that we can share this story with everyone that you know. Someone seeking recovery, reach out. Someone looking for that path, ask for help. Put up a hand, put out a hand, reach out for help. There is someone there to help you. Sometimes you have to find hope in someone else until you can find it in yourself, and that's what Recovery Army is all about. From Aurora, Illinois, we're on the road to recovery. I'm Michael DeLeo, and we will see you down the road on the next episode.